Well, our moms think we're funny.
We are recording. I'm glad I didn't hit record before making that joke, because
Uh, yeah, because heaven forbid that you actually say something that you don't like that you might have to edit out. So we were just watching the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League video game trailer.
Yeah.
Because you hadn't seen it, and we were talking about Suicide Squad because it was on, so we were just kind of talking about that. And I was like mentioning the video game, and I was kind of like looking forward to it and stuff. So anyway, it got me thinking just then because they show a picture of King Shark,
yeah.
and he's got tattoos and stuff, and he looks kind of badass, and it sounds like he sounds like Batista. I don't know if he is, or maybe I just have such a fucking Batista crush. Like everybody sounds like Batista except for me. But I was thinking, that's got to be one of the things that's really got to suck for just a regular, everyday, just like I work an average job kind of person in that universe. Because when you have people like King Shark or somebody else comes in like, it's like, I want a tattoo that looks like this. But like, I've never tattooed shark skin before. Not quite sure how that works, or
I could use the practice.
or when somebody comes in like I don't know, and like some like indestructible person is like, he's like, it's like I want a nose ring. Can you give me a piercing? Like and you're looking at like, it's like, they killed that guy last week, didn't they? You're like, so,
You're like looking over their shoulder at the TV, and they're on the news biting somebody's head off.
right.
Like,
So, that's when I turned into like Father Vito Cornelius from the Fifth Element. Tattoo? And like, yeah, I mean, like you have to. On the plus side, though, like the schools for like teaching that kind of stuff, I mean, their Dun and Bradstreet is going to go way up because you can add in all kinds of like new classes and everything. Like how to like instead of tattoo, like how to do tattoo art with like a blowtorch for those people to come in there. They have like like skin made of steel or something. But like there you go.
which is why today's episode is brought to you by Skillshare.
Very nice. Did they ever? No, was it Skillshare? No, it was Masterclass. Where if they got enough interest in it, that Sam Jackson was going to do that Masterclass on how to cuss.
Believe it or not, I still haven't watched the history of swearing thing.
I watched the first episode.
I mean, it's Nick Cage. I should have been all over that as soon as it dropped, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I love the trailer.
Yeah.
It just stands up and screams to the heavens.
Have you seen that new Capital One commercial where it's all like 3D animated to make them look like video game characters?
Nah.
You haven't seen that?
Nah.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson's talking about how like their new, like the Capital. Is it? Yeah, it's gotta be Capital One. Because it's the only thing he does. He's not like Shaquille O'Neal, who like there's nothing that Shaquille O'Neal does not like do ads for.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was like,
He's the Nicolas Cage of commercials.
Yeah. He's talking about not blaming anyway, basically at the very end of it, he's telling him like, now let's go out there and play video games, and then like a shark just comes out of nowhere and just like bites him and grabs him and pulls him like, that's funny.
That's hilarious.
Deep blue sea, a fucking shark ate me. Hey everyone, my name is Turk182.
And I'm Acomi.
And today on well, we really opened this up kind of lighthearted, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
For us to like knock on the door and go down to the bowels of hell and rot inside a corpse's shell.
Oh, nice.
Thank you. So today we are talking about someone that I considered not a friend, because obviously I don't know this motherfucker, right? But someone I considered to be of kinship,
Mm-hmm.
and then it turns out that yeah, no, I don't want to be friends or kins or anything with this person. We are talking about Josh Whedon.
Yep.
Yeah, if you guys are also listeners of In the Gutters, then you may have already heard this, where Walcraw and I decided that we don't really give a shit what he says. His name's not Joss, it's Josh. It's always been Josh. Right. He's like, oh, I want to seem special. And it's like, no, my name is Joss. Like, no, it's fucking Josh. It's always been fucking Josh.
Tell the best stories, Joss.
So yeah, we were gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
And
Joshua P. Whedon.
Yeah, because
the P stands for prick.
Yeah. Yeah, punk ass. A lot of stuff has come out about him, and there have been people that have come to his defense. And when I say come to his defense, they're not really defending him per se. What they're saying is, I never witnessed that behavior in my dealings with him. Mm-hmm. Now, the two people that have come out and said that, I will say have both been men. So, which, to me, other than, Ray Fisher, I haven't really heard any guys have anything bad to say about him. So it seems to me like Josh is just one of those guys that likes to attack women, or maybe feel superior than them, or maybe he wants to feel superior to them. It's that maybe that whole that mindset where when I'm around them, they make me feel inferior and insecure. So I'm gonna flip it on them. So, and there have been people that they've come out and there's been a lot of stuff said. I'm only gonna repeat some of it. Because if you really want to know, you can go look it up yourself. It's everywhere, right?
Yeah, it's been pretty big news lately.
But but the other people, they haven't denied it, saying it never happened. They said I didn't witness it, and they've never behaved that way to me or around me.
Right.
Now, I will say that it seems like with the Justice League thing, the thing that might make the difference is that he had a lot of muscle behind him to where he could act out maybe more than he did before. Because as you mentioned many times, like the Warner Brothers, execs. They were pushing to get their bonuses. Mm-hmm. And so when you've got that kind of muscle behind you, then you can pretty much get away with anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what are they going to do? Complain to his bosses? All they want is for the movie to be done.
Right. So. And so when when you've got that going on, it's one of those things where they're going to turn a deaf ear to anything you have to say, especially if it's like, well, why are you holding up? Why are you holding up the movie? Mm-hmm. Why? Yeah. And then you give someone that
who the fuck are you?
And that already has
you're a miserable, no talent piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. I was the producer on Air Bud 2, 4, 5, and 8. What have you done?
Why can't you just finish making the movie instead of ruining everybody's peace and quiet down here?
So, why did I join into that with you just now? I don't...
Because you're a good comedy partner. Yes, and me.
And I wasn't there, so I don't know. But when you have I'll say this: when you have a internal review, mm-hmm. and the results of that review, without being released, is that, oh, hey, that project that you've been working on, that HBO TV series, yeah, we're removing you from that completely. We're still going to make the series; it's still coming out. You're just not going to be involved. And and then of course you've got the Wonder Woman script he turned in that everyone said was very misogynistic, and there was some they posted some of the pages from that, and when you read it, it's just like, wow, okay.
Yeah, which I read those pages. I didn't really think of it as like a woman hater. It was just like really, really cheesy.
See,
it definitely read like somebody who didn't know how to write women.
Well, I didn't take it as the pages I read. I didn't take it as woman hater, but it was glorifying her beauty, right. Instead of like say, like you wouldn't do. It's kind of like the whole thing where they people that do the pictures of the like the male superheroes and the cheesecake poser where they're turned and everything, like with their ass up in the air and all that kind of stuff.
Where are your atoms? You spilled your atoms all over the ground.
So I mean, and yeah, I get it, but you know, it's. I mean, we can talk about the difference between men and women in our next podcast, because I got some things to say about that. You know, but it's you know, but the other part of that though is that you you know, you don't want to see, most people don't want to see men in that kind of pose. They want to see them in this kind of a pose.
Right, right.
So, you know, yeah, you're not going to see that, but if I didn't put them in this like really heroic pose, then you'd be upset that I'm not. But anyway,
right.
But there's that. Then there was the Batgirl movie he was supposed to be making, and that had apparently been greenlit, and then just disappeared. I mean, just you never heard anything about it. That was just like gone, and that was before.
Yeah, I'd actually forgotten about that.
So just a funny little side note, because I'd have to go back and find it. And I think I may have talked about this once before, and I hate the fact that I can't remember that I'm like constantly bringing up the same old shit. But this is just one of those things that I just think is incredibly funny. So I will have to bring it up every once in a while.
Us bring up something that's been brought up before on this podcast?
That's impossible.
How dare you get the fuck out of here? Get off of this podcast now.
Is the spirit. You know,
that was Joss Whedon?
No. I don't know. With the midget that could identify a woman by her ass, it sounds like it would be Josh Whedon, but
yeah, a little bit.
Good old Joshy. But no, unfortunately, it wasn't. But the reason I bring up the spirit is that I remember reading, because I used to be a regular visitor to the Superhero Hype website. That's where I would get all my comic book and comic book movie news and stuff. And I don't know why it stopped going there. It wasn't like they did anything bad. Like comic book resources, which is so fucking clickbaity now.
God,
and I mean,
comic book resources.
There are more ads on their page than I don't have had anything to go with it. Then and then I don't know. But I mean, it's like I can't even read shit they post without like ads all over the place. I'm like, damn, son. But Superhero Hype had done a thing back when the Spirit hadn't come out yet, but it was still being filmed, and that it was done by Lionsgate, and that the producers, the studio was so pleased with the dailies that they'd already greenlit it for 2 sequels.
Wow.
And then of course the movie came out, and I'm like. Oh,
that'll do it.
Yeah, they went from green light to Roxanne in no time. But
it's not just me, right? It's damn weird.
That's damn weird. But anyway, so you know, yeah, good old Josh. You know, just the way he attacked women, and you know, at least that's what's been said. And of course, he hasn't stepped up to offer his side of the story.
He's probably pulling a pro Jared and just keeping his head down and his mouth shut until like people stop crying out for his blood. And then he'll probably release a statement later.
Now, do you know about the letter he left his wife when he left her?
Yeah, I read that.
Okay. So, but she apparently doesn't have the letter anymore. I don't know what she did with it, which I don't know why you would get rid of that. I'd frame that bitch and put it on my wall.
Right.
Be like, yeah, I'm not proud of it, but you know, I just want everybody to when they come in and look at this, like this is written by like a real piece of shit, right here.
Yeah, I mean, like in 20 years, she could put that fucker on eBay, make enough money to retire on.
Yeah. So, that was just like wow, special. Again, if you really want to know, you go look it up yourself. But the short of it is that he supposedly wrote a letter to her that was this kind of long letter that basically said, hey, I'm not this feminist icon that you think I am. I've been an act this whole time just so that women will feel safe around me, so I could do things like cheat on you and you not know, because I put up this front about that I care about women and all this stuff. So then when I've been cheating like behind your back and everything, you'd never know, because you would think that, no, he'd never do that to me, because, he loves women so much and, he cares about them and makes sure they're represented properly.
Right.
And he's like, but no, that's not true. Which I kind of have a problem. Like, why would you confess that? I mean, you're not on your deathbed. Like, why would you come out and Hell, even Osmandius waited until like he's like, do you think I'd tell you about all the women I slept with if I wasn't planning on poisoning you? Like V for Vendetta. No, I poisoned you 5 minutes ago. So again, I'm not doubting her. I'm just saying that seems kind of weird for
how did
you
that
just
scene
like that.
go? Where she was like, "Is it going to be painful?" And he's like, "It wasn't," or something like that.
Yeah,
How did that go?
She's like, "Will it be painful?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Go ahead." And he's like, "I've already did. I already did it."
But yeah. Which I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but there's not a whole lot of love in our circle for cheaters.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And with all that, if you cheat on your spouse, man or woman, you cheat on your spouse, that's between you and them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a dog in that fight because I'm not them.
Right.
I can look at you and be like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. You're a piece of shit. And I can accept that, sometimes people have a moral lapse in judgment. I am a firm believer in that people aren't always as strong as they think they are.
Mm-hmm.
And also that they're not as weak as they think they are. One thing that I think you and I have talked about is people when they say, oh, I could never kill somebody. I'm like, you don't know what you could do or what you will do until someone has pushed the right buttons and, you could go like rabid dog. Mm-hmm. At the same time, though, I'd like to believe that I wouldn't cheat on my girlfriend. I'd also like to believe that I would run into...
Let me tell you now, Turk, you're an oak. So.
I try to be. But I'd like to also believe that I would run into a burning building to save children. But the truth of it is, when presented with a burning building, smoke, and the screams of children, I could very well puss out. Yeah. I want to believe I'm that strong and that I'd be that heroic and that I'd risk my life for it. But when the time actually came, would I be able to? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
So if presented with an opportunity, to have sex with somebody that's not my girlfriend, would I be able to turn it down? I'd like to be able to say yes, but I honestly don't know. And some people are going to be like, that's a cop-out and everything. And no, it's not a cop-out. It's the truth. I don't really know. Now, if I've been presented with it once before and I was like, no, thank you. I'm good. Then I could probably be able to do it again, depending on who it was.
Right, yeah. That's what I was going to say is that, even if you have like 99% consistency, we've all got that like dream person where it's like, yes, I would throw away everything in my relationship for this person, and yes, I've been on my high horse about cheating this whole episode, but it's like, no, if I were in like a happy years-long relationship and Anna Kendrick was like, yeah, let's get it on, well, fuck yeah. Oh no, I gotta do some soul searching. Okay.
So I'd be like, I would do anything for love, and I will do her. I say we, but I guess I'm more speaking for myself, but I want to believe that that's true, but I can't honestly say until I've been presented with it. Mm-hmm. But to flagrantly go out there and maybe it's like stealing, like shoplifting. You do it the one time and you're like, okay, I'm just going to do it this one time because I really want this thing. I don't want to pay for it, or I don't have the money to pay for it, or I just want to see, what it feels like, what the rush is. And then when you get away with it, mm-hmm. then you're like, okay, well, I enjoyed that, which obviously you think that you would, or else no one decides like, I think I'm going to hate this. It's going to be really painful. Yeah, let's go. So, and if it lives up to that and you don't get caught, well, then that's what emboldens you, to do it again, Mm-hmm. But then if the letter's true, not doubting, but since I haven't seen it, that's why I'm saying if it's true. I haven't seen it and she can't produce it to my knowledge. If it's true, like, why would you be like, hey, I'm going to set this masterful ruse here just so I can do this.
Right.
Just so I can cheat on you. Like, we don't have to be together. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but you can take your shit and get the fuck out and and I can just be just fine right here.
I mean, I'm not really sure where him proclaiming to be a feminist would really, like, cover up the possibility of him cheating. Like, I mean, maybe it's just me, but I just don't be like, what? No. Josh would never cheat on his wife because he's a feminist.
Well, I guess the idea is like, you'd be like, well, obviously this guy, doesn't hate black people. He's a member of the NAACP. And it's like, there's no way he would go to this crossbow. Oh. And just you just sit there, and just be like, don't forget to wash daily. So, but I guess the idea is like if you really see women as strong, people in this world that and you want to represent them as that, and you want to also represent them as people that have been, I guess, haven't been properly presented, in media, then why would you, if that's really how you feel, then why would you do the opposite, right?
Right.
That'd be like me doing a commercial for Tide Pods and then coming home and washing my clothes with dirt. You're like, you just said. You're like, I said that for money, motherfucker. But I think that, and I think the problem is that a lot of us bought into that, and we liked seeing his strong women, and we liked seeing him, really portray that.
From what I hear, Buffy's a great series.
That's what I hear too.
I've never watched it, but I've heard a lot of people say really good stuff about it.
I've heard people say like Buffy's really good, and they always say, and they're like, Angel's really good too. And I saw a couple of clips from Angel, and it always seemed kind of hokey to me. But I guess if you make it through Buffy and you get to know the characters, then what seems hokey to me just coming into it is more understandable than when you already, like I said, already know what's going on. But
yeah.
But like I said, the idea of like, okay, so he's got all these strong characters and strong women that now I guess I gotta look back and I'm like, are they strong? I go back and I'm looking at like Firefly. I did watch Firefly. I liked it a lot. Love the movie Serenity, which I know you haven't seen yet. And I'm going to tell you again, you can watch Serenity without having watched Firefly first. I didn't even know Firefly was a TV series. Yes, I know. I get 1 point taken off my geek license. But I didn't know it was even a TV series when I watched Serenity. And I got everything I needed from there. And then when I found, I was like, oh, let me go back and watch it. And of course, I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in, and then, there's my girl, and I'm like, oh, this is a great show. So,
Christina Hendricks,
yeah. But then I gotta look back at these characters and be like, okay, so are they really strong, or is it just like a mask, like a what is it? The guy that created Wonder Woman, William Martin Marston. Yeah. Wait, just yeah. Well, he had the middle name. They always want to list, but I mean,
yeah.
So Wonder Woman's a very strong character, and you see her as being a very strong character, unless of course you tie her up every issue in chains.
That's because he had a bondage fetish,
right? Well, that's the thing. Like, so she's not really a strong character. It's this guy acting out his bondage fetish and his need to be like dominated by women or to dominate women. But in order to portray that, he created a super strong Amazonian woman and it's like, so now I look back and I'm like, okay, so she is now because, other people have written her and,
better writers have handled the property.
But at the time, it's like, was she? No, she's just a guy getting his kicks. So now I got to think about that. Like, I can still enjoy the shows. Now I have to look that deep into it. But if I'm looking at him, I'm saying like, are these people the strong characters I thought that they were?
Right.
And I got to point out something here, because I think it ties in with all this stuff, especially when you hear about. Again, I'm not really going to go into detail with names or anything because that's not my business. Their story is their story. If you want to know their story, go look it up and hear straight from them. But when you look at some of the things he said to people and all that stuff. Avengers, Age of Ultron. You know, I love Age of Ultron.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna ask. You've seen it a couple times, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you. So Quicksilver died protecting Hawkeye, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hawkeye was protecting who?
Wanda, right?
Nope.
It's been a little while since I've seen it.
Hawkeye was protecting the little boy.
That's right.
And the little boy was
protecting.
No, he wasn't protecting.
The
Anyway,
meth.
so the little boy was the son to.
It's been too long.
Okay,
I feel bad.
Wait, so you're ruining my whole thing here. Thanks.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Why do you build me up, Buttercup, just to let me down? So there in Sokovia, and you see this person several times throughout the movie. Even just in like different scenes, they pretty much stand out. It's the cute little blonde with the big jubblies.
Oh,
And she's
yeah.
got the open cut dress.
Yeah.
That really reveals them, and that's the mother to the son that Hawkeye is protecting. That Quicksilver ends up protecting instead.
I get you. Hawkeye just wanted some.
Well, he he jumped on the boy, not the woman.
Well, yeah, but she would feel a debt of gratitude.
Oh, I got you. It's like what's that movie with John Turturro in it? Something Ducks. It's got two names. But there's a one line in there where he goes, he's like, he owes me. I saved his life in Vietnam. I threw myself on top of an 18-year-old virgin. But the thing is, this woman stands out. If you see her in the scenes, she clearly stands out. And one thing that stands out about her is, she's an attractive woman wearing this dress, and the dress buttons up and it's open at the neck, and her cleavage is in full view the entire time.
Right.
I can't say that was just a costuming decision. Be like, yeah, I mean, Sokovian women, this is kind of how they would dress. Be like, yeah, no, I'm thinking this is more of like a Josh thing, and I don't know who Josh cheated on his wife with or whatever. I'm not saying that it was this woman, but I mean, she's got a lot of screen time for what she does. And she's on full display.
Yeah.
I don't know her. I haven't looked her up or anything, so I'm not trying to, besmirch her name or anything. I'm just saying that, when you look at this, like those scenes do not strike me as a guy who really cares about women as equals.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing. When somebody establishes a pattern of just being a slime ball, then you can't trust them with anything. So, like, I have no reason to believe that Josh handled himself in a trustworthy manner with this woman any more than I do with any other woman.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not besmirching her name, it's just saying he's a slimeball who would try it with anybody, and I have no reason to believe otherwise about him if what his wife says is true.
And like I said, I think the reason why, and I don't feel hurt by it because I don't fucking know him. I don't know anything about him. And I mean, to quote Seth Gecko, I mean, he could live forever. He could die this minute. It's not going to faze me one way or the other. Even if he were like still making great movies and all this stuff didn't really exist, same thing. I mean, I'd be saddened because like, oh man, I can't get those great movies anymore, and that's really selfish of me. But I mean, I don't know him. I don't owe him, right?
Right.
So,
but it's always a matter of separating the art from the artist, and we've talked about that with like movies with Kevin Spacey in them.
Right.
Like, we still watch Baby Driver and enjoy it, and, Kevin Spacey's a piece of shit. And it sucks to say that because he's an extremely talented actor, but he is just a grade A piece of shit.
Right.
Indisputably. But, you hit this point where you have to separate the art from the artist, and, like, there's plenty of movies that, I don't think either of us would want to just completely walk away from just because he happens to be in it.
Yeah, I won't praise him, or say like he's still one of my favorite actors. I can say that he did a great job in these things, and those movies are really good.
He has technical skill as an actor, yes.
Right. It's like either in spite of or because of but yeah, it's Anyway, it's that's that. But so the thing with Josh is that being a nerd or a geek or whatever, or being a pop culture junkie, whatever we are, when you have someone like that really seems to understand and walks that line between, the business world or the other world that doesn't understand what we do, what we like.
Mm-hmm.
And then is given the opportunity to present that and be like, hey, I can make content for people that are just like me. And then you find out that you're not entirely just like us.
Mm-hmm.
And when that trust is eroded, especially when it's like a deeper trust, like if you lied to me about oh hey, are there any cookies still left in the house? Be like, yeah, there's a whole bag, and you go in there like there's no cookies, and it's like, yeah, I know. And be like, oh, okay, well, shit. Now that doesn't then make me go like, I don't think they love me anymore. I'm like, no, it's it's just like, okay, all right, Next time I ask you about cookies, I'm probably not going to trust you until the cookies are in my hand. Well, maybe if you told me they were delicious Chips Ahoy cookies, but when you say something that goes to the core of who I think you are and who I think I am,
mm-hmm.
and then I find out that's a lie, then I do have to then take everything that I give equal weight to.
Yeah.
And then have to sit there and go, okay, is all that a lie as well? Because, it's almost like you put them into different categories as far as like, I guess maybe, not necessarily how close, connected it is to you, but I guess how important it is
mm-hmm.
in your liking or disliking somebody.
Right.
And if it gets too close, then, because it's all about, making that connection, that kinship with somebody, even if it's from a distance, be like, this person likes what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's why people put like bumper stickers of Baby Yoda in their car. They want somebody to go by and be like, hey, they like Baby Yoda too. Like, okay.
They're not like other girls. They're edgy and different. They like Baby Yoda. Nobody else likes Baby Yoda.
I'm sorry. Grogu. Sorry, I can't call him Baby Yoda anymore.
Yeah. I'll stick with calling him Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda's evil.
Yeah, you told me about that. That he just was like eating little baby frogs or whatever.
Yeah, the frog eggs.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to get him there to, and he just, God, he was evil. Freaking evil, man. He's already given into the dark side. He's like Sith Grogu.
Man, can you imagine a Sith Yoda?
Darth Yo-Yo.
Darth Grogu.
That then kind of like I said, it kind of pulls all that apart and be like, is there anything about you that I can trust or like, even
mm-hmm.
even your your shows or whatever?
Yeah.
I think I still appreciate the shows, but when I see something that may stand out, then I might question and be like,
Yeah.
Where before I wouldn't have, I would just have taken it at face value.
Yeah.
Or maybe not even noticed it at all. But now I'd be like, I wonder if that's a subtle, thing about this or that or whatever.
Right. And like pretty much any woman you see on screen, it's like he probably tried to bang her.
And the thing is, it wasn't like if you read about what he thinks he said to the one actress and stuff, and what he did to them, it had nothing to do with him trying to put the moves on her. It was just the recounting of that is correct.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a dick ass. Like,
just being a twat. Yeah.
Did you read that?
The one who got sick or had hospital time, or was it that she had a kid?
She had a kid.
That's right. Yeah, that was fucked.
And like locks her in the office with him for like an hour where he just berates her. And I know I say this a lot now, and I know people play things like, oh, he's like, there he goes again, trying to sound like a badass. It's not really a badass. It's just that like there's only so much shit that I feel like I need to take,
mm-hmm.
into a point where I'm like, okay, I can walk away, fine, but if it gets to a certain point, I'm like, yeah, I'll walk away, but I really don't think that you should be able to walk away.
Right, yeah.
Or walk or breathe. So that's when, a motherfucker might just have to, like, get his throat slit. I'm just saying, and so, I mean, no, not everybody feels that way, and I'm glad not everybody feels that way. Like, but I'm saying, like, you're gonna do something like that to me? I'm like, no.
I mean, we've talked about that in some recent episodes about like problematic individuals, and it's like some people just need the ever-loving shit kicked out of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, something like that, where it's like, hey, Mr. Feminist, like, this is most definitely this woman's decision to make, and you're gonna berate her for an hour over it, like...
And not just that, but her religion and all kinds of stuff, like, which really had no play into that, except for you just wanted to, you know, do it. Anyway.
Yeah, he just wanted to be a twat.
Right.
That's it.
And what's even more interesting of sorts is that, like, I knew going into like watching Age of Ultron and stuff like that he that Josh was an atheist, I think, and I still found and loved the dialogue of Ultron. Mm-hmm. And I've mentioned several times about how often Ultron references God, and that for someone that is a robot, a person. Right. It's like, thank you. You said someone, not something. See, that's an Alan Tudyk connection there.
Yeah, there we go.
But for all that, like I found all that fascinating. That Ultron, who should not believe in God because he's not a living creature. Even if he made his vibranium body that's more human-like, he still is not a human. You know. Anyway. But I found all that fascinating, and to say that it was written by an atheist, and I was like, I find it even more fascinating. But I think also part of that is that, you know, it's kind of like I was talking to Wallcrawler 1, and I said, you know, I think I would be a great Spider-Man writer. And it's like, he's like, right. But you don't really like Spider-Man that much, and I was like, that's why I think I'd be really good at it, because I don't care for the character that much. I don't hate them, but I don't care for them that much. So I would bring out new things in writing and storytelling that other people hadn't, because they love it so much that they kind of stick with the same kind of storylines or characters in this. Is where I would start to explore new things, because I want to see new things from a character that to make them more likable to me without, you know, taking more. So right. So anyway, so the whole point of that, you know, is that I think that he. That, you know, him writing that kind of dialogue and doing all that stuff, it comes from the position where it's like he doesn't like it, and that's why in some cases he can talk more objectively about it, right, and say, you know, those kind of things. So anyway, not to praise him at all, but. You don't do that kind of stuff, and then where do you get the balls? I mean, even in a job where it's like the work has to get done, right? I work in a job, shit has to get done. Mm-hmm. That's not the way you go about it, you know? Right? Yeah. So, he's he is what he is, but I think the thing that it comes down to is like, it's like when Kevin Smith started making movies, and you know, you see Clerks, even if you start watching Kevin Smith movies right now, or you watch Clerks, and then you watch Mallrats, and someone says, oh yeah, he's a big comic book fan, you know, he sold his comic books to be able to get the money to make, you know, his movie, his first movie, and then
I never knew that. That's wild.
Yeah, and then after he got successful, he then, you know, bought those books back. I don't know the same ones, but, you know, bought the books back. And then he later opened up his own comic book store. I'm like, and, you know, it's like, and you can see in the movies that, you know, when he talks about comics, he knows comics, that sort of thing. So like, and when you see that, it feels good that there's someone like you that's doing that, you know? Right. And then, like I said, and then going over to the other guy, and you're like, okay, wow. And it's not just some kind of hackneyed approach, you know, like some people that do. And it's like, oh, like you didn't really try, did you? And then when that's kind of taken away in a sense, like you're like, like why did you have to be that? Because we had the same thing about Kevin Spacey. It was like, like I enjoy watching movies. I like seeing actors, roles that, you know, I would like to see you in the future or whatever. I'm like, why did you have to be such a piece of shit? You know?
Yeah. You know, it's one thing when you don't enjoy the person's content, like. You know, nobody cares about what an absolute cuck nugget Jake Paul or Logan Paul is, because it's like, well, you know, we couldn't give a shit about them anyway. Right. They can start making content tomorrow, and I wouldn't give a good goddamn about it. But, you know, when it's somebody where it's like, yes, I've liked the overwhelming majority of what you do, and now you've turned out to be this.
Right. And, you know, when we talk about separating the artist from the art, you know, for me, it's past stuff. Like, I won't continue to support you going forward, you know, but I'm not going to just take everything that you did in the past and just throw it out the window. You know, I just, you know, it's like the line from Batman Begins, you know, it's like, you know, I don't have to, so I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you either.
Right.
So
right.
You know, I'm not going to like demonize you and like destroy all of your work or whatever, but that doesn't mean I'm going to like, you know, to watch or take part in your future stuff. So
yeah.
But anyway, I think that when I read about all that, and you know, and I had a second reaction too, which was, and maybe because I've never been a victim that I'm aware of in this kind of fashion. When people start coming out about things like, okay, this happened to me. So let's say like that I went to like a car dealership and I got ripped off, right? Mm-hmm. So they ripped me off, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to the press and I'm going to tell the press about this dealership and how, you know, how they rip people off and they do this and they do that. And I go there and I tell my story and like, you know, exactly how everything happened. And, you know, it's getting attention.
Right.
But other people that were ripped off don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come forward. But then like 2 years afterwards, then they'll come forward. And I'm like, okay, well, when we were getting momentum building, right, and we needed some additional rowers on this boat.
Right.
Like, where were you? I mean, like, why? I don't understand why some people wait. Like, especially when it's like, okay, now like there are people listening to you. Right. Mm-hmm. And now is the perfect time to get out there and let your voice be heard, because you've got other voices too that are making it impossible or damn near impossible, you know, for you to not be heard, for them to ignore you.
Right.
Why would you wait and then start up on your own like years later, like screaming into the void?
Right.
I don't get it. And there's maybe something with the whole like, you know, the whole like kind of victim thing or whatever.
I do think some of it's like a fear of retaliation in some cases. Or, I mean, at least, like, especially with some of, like, these YouTubers and stuff that I've heard about, some of the victims have said that much, that it took them a long time to work up the nerve because they fear retaliation. You know, like, when somebody has a fan base, then, you know, they've got people backing them. So, it's like, if you come forward and tell the truth, then there's just every possibility that they're just going to form a mob supporting them no matter what.
But when you already have other voices that are standing, you know, in defense, mm-hmm. then why not lend your strength to them?
Oh, I agree. I agree.
That's what I'm saying. Like why I don't understand like why they don't feel like they can, or they just don't. And then like later on, when they don't have that wall of defense there, then they kind of. I said I don't get it, and
right.
I'm not putting anybody down. I'm just saying I don't get it. I don't. It could be more to it than that. So we talked a long time ago about how, you know, when you get to a certain position in your life or your career, and you know, saying you're doing the wrong thing or mm-hmm. or saying you're doing the right thing could get you in a lot, could cost you everything that you've worked really hard for. And it's not one of those things where you can just, like, I could become like the manager of McDonald's and then accidentally leave like a box of, you know, burgers out and, you know, and then get fired. Okay.
Right.
Well, I can start over again, you know, in like a couple months and work my way back up to manager. Yeah. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
But if you were working in some, you know, big kind of like dream job, and you get booted from that, it like sometimes that boot that's it. I mean, it's like you don't come back.
Right.
And like now I remove the path for you to come back, but even if you find somehow made your way here, like it's somebody's +1, I'm not going to open the door.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I can see you holding on and being like, I'm not going to let that happen to me because I don't want to lose everything that I've tried for so hard.
Right. Right.
Until I know that when I do speak up or speak out, that these people are no longer in positions where they can like take any kind of revenge or something like that.
Right, yeah. Well, too, like, it's especially in, like, the acting field or the YouTube field or whatever, any kind of, like, influencing or entertainment thing where it's not just your skills, it's also your personality that's integrated into this, irrevocably, basically. Like, as a printer guy, it's like, yeah, I could fuck up a printer and lose my job. And, like you said, you can rebuild back up to that later on down the road. I could go with a different company or whatever.
Right.
And kind of pick up the pieces. But, as an actor, it's not just that, oh, yeah, you act. It's like, no, everybody knows who you are.
Right.
And, everybody knows the persona that you're portraying to the public. So, it's a different thing because it's very much who you are. So, like, yeah, if somebody's taking that level of revenge and just trying to completely close all those doors for you, then it's not something where, yes, you're still bringing that skill to the table because it's still you. So, it makes it that much more of a threat for people.
Well, I can see that. I just, and that makes perfect sense. I can see why some people don't come forward or wait so long to come forward. And I said, and it may be some people like, I really want to join and be a part of this, but there are other parties that, involved that they can still make things difficult for me. So I have to kind of lay low. And that sucks. I mean, especially when it's really all about, it's not about what somebody did to you. Like that's not the issue here. It's like that nobody cares. Like, well, not nobody. The people that should care don't care about that.
Right. Right.
And it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Don't fuck up my gravy train.
Right. Right.
And it's like, so you're okay with this? It makes me think of that. It's one of my favorite lines. Probably from the entire series, even though I like the series a lot. I think it's really funny. But excuse me. But I think it's probably one of my favorite lines because it's so smart and it's smart and funny at the same time.
Right.
Which is it's from Rick and Morty. It's the one with the parasites.
Yeah.
And they have the flashback sequence with the Nazi, and the guy goes, yeah, back home. He goes, we got a name for people like you. And he goes, I'm comfortably called a Nazi. Do you think anything else is going to hurt my feelings? And I'm like, well, yeah, you got a point there. It's just like, well, yeah, I mean, here's a guy that's doing something or someone that's pretty. It's like, do you think that anything else is really going to like affect them? Like, no.
Right.
No.
Right.
So, yeah, and then you just have to kind of like bite your tongue. And I think that really makes it worse because now I'm not trying to psychoanalyze anybody, but so let's just say that I worked really hard to become the the top mathematician in the world. Okay, I studied, I memorized, and now I'm at that point. But then I realized that there's some things going on that shouldn't be going on within the educational institution or whatever, the mathematical institution, whatever it is. And I realized these things are going on, and I'm like, okay, so I don't want to be a part of that, but also I can't say anything about it. So I'm just going to sit here and hold my tongue, even though I don't like what's going around. But now the thing that I want so much doesn't feel good.
Right, right.
And I don't want to lose it because it's what I wanted to be all this time. But now it doesn't feel good. And the longer I stay here, the the worse it feels.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and it really kind of taints everything. But at the same time, I don't want to leave because this is where I wanted to, this is what I tried to get to for all this time, and I finally made it. And it's not the institute or the craft or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people around it that are making it difficult for me to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of pressure, and I can only imagine that would just drive somebody just insane to kind of keep spinning around a circle like that, being like, I want to be here, but these people make me not want to be here. Mm-hmm. But but this is where I've always wanted to be, and I'm finally here. So we just keep
you feel trapped.
Yeah. And the worst part about it is that you can leave anytime you want it, but it's like, but you're the thing that's making you stay because you're like, but I can't leave. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah.
Well, too, especially if you're in Hollywood and you're doing the acting thing, then that's a lot of money to walk away from.
Mm-hmm.
And even just working in the tech field, it's like once you hit a certain threshold, it's like, no, this I may not need this much to survive, but this certainly starts working towards me developing a lifestyle that I would like to continue funding. So, like, even in, like, my pay range, you run into that kind of thing where it's like, yeah, but I like buying certain shit for myself.
Yeah.
And so, I can only imagine that when you're in the acting field and you're living in a place like California where the cost of living is just fucking ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get to where it's like, yeah, I can afford champagne and caviar enemas and all kinds of great stuff. And, like, that's a lot of money to walk away from, where it's just like...
the worst part about champagne, caviar enemas is, like, whenever you go to the doctor and they always ask, like, so have you've seen any blood in your store, any, like, tardy discharge? Like, I don't really know, Doc. I'm like, how can you tell like a tarry discharge from caviar? It's like, is there? I mean, I don't know. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, like you get there to that point, and you're like, okay, here's where I am, and I'm gonna kind of be mean to actors for a minute there, but. Actors don't do shit. Actors don't do shit. I don't care if you're a method actor. I don't care if you do your own stunts. Actors, at the end of the day, really don't do shit. You get up there and you play make-believe. Now, some people are better at it than others, but you get up there in front of everybody and you play make-believe, and you get paid, depending on who you are, a shit ton for it. And even if you're not like an actor that's really well known and you're winning like awards all the time, there are still actors out there. I'll be just flipping through cable and I'll see somebody. I'm like, okay, they look familiar. What have I seen them in? And I'll go through and they'll have like 10 or 20 movie credits. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and I've seen none of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But they got paid. And now that they get paid, but they made a movie and they got paid. Was it a great movie? Maybe not. Maybe it's just a big piece of shit. But they're still doing what they wanted to do. They got paid. And even though it may have been kind of difficult, like on the set with different things, it's not the same as working like a career like we have.
Right.
So, and we sure still don't make that kind of money.
Yeah.
And ours requires a certain level of skill and I don't want to say brain power, but there's a lot of critical thinking.
Yeah,
that's involved in what we do. I mean, from your standpoint, where you're taking like a printer apart, and I know that I've talked to you sometimes where you're like, I've had to just take this printer I've been for like 4 hours. Mm-hmm. I had to completely dismantle this thing and put it back together again. I mean, sometimes just and I know it sounds like I'm really like being demeaning to their craft, but. Sometimes, like you come on set and like, oh no, the script page that you memorized last night, there's brand new pages today. Oh no!
Oh man, I gotta read more.
Right. As opposed to something this weekend where I'm like, okay, wait, I gotta make sense out of this thing, and I spend the next like 2 hours like, okay, I finally understand what's going on here, so I can like make this change.
Oh yeah, and I mean I've seen you doing your stuff where it's like you're just going through like file after file and having to like do all this deep diving research into stuff to like where's this discrepancy?
Right.
Where did this one fucker move the decimal in the wrong place? And it's like,
oh god, dude, there have been so many times where I've pulled up an Excel spreadsheet and I'll just start like putting numbers together to try to get things that make sense and stuff, and I will get lost in the data, and I'll stop and be like, okay, wait, what the hell am I even doing? Like I literally forget what it is that I'm trying to like do with all this stuff. It's
Lost in the Data would be a great band name.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that a lot.
I mean, it's happened like way too many times where I'm like, I literally just like, okay, shit, what was I doing? And like I just spent the past hour putting all these things together, like. And I don't even remember what it was I was looking for. Like, what was I trying to prove with this? And that's frustrating. You don't have that with acting. But like, you know, what am I trying to do? Why? You know, I understand why my character is crying, but you know, like, is there deeper things? Are they heavy tears? Or I'm like, oh no.
Well, I mean, you know, obviously neither of us are on par with like the truly great actors out there. You know, we're certainly no like Ryan Reynolds or whatever, but we.
You know how I feel about Ryan Reynolds.
He's handsome and talented. What?
The fact that he stole the career from Mark Paul Gosselaar.
Oh yeah, that's right. So you know, neither of us are any Mark Paul Gosselaar, but I mean, like we've acted. You know, we've done some stuff with like short films, things like that. We've acted. We know basically the amount of work that goes into it. And you you can say something about, you know, as you said, method actors are guys like Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans who spend, you know, 8 hours a day in the gym, but it's like, but I do exercise. I know the like degree of physical labor that goes into it. And if you were to give me the choice of making the money that I make now fixing printers or making 40 times that working out in the gym, I'd take the gym every time. It's like, oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, part of that is that, you know, for you know, in order to get a role, sometimes you have to get in shape. Like Chris Pratt, when he wanted to play Star-Lord, right? And they were like, you know, they liked him, but they were like, yeah, but it was like Chippendales.
Yeah.
It was like Chippendales. And so he goes and he gets himself in shape and then comes back and
he's
like,
got the better body.
Right. And he comes back and he's like, okay, now can I be the Star-Lord? And they're like, who? And it's like, you know, the Star-Lord guy you're casting for? Come on, man. So, but I mean, but then there's other times where it's like, okay, you've got the role. Now we've got to get you in shape. And then that actually becomes your job, is to work out at the gym 4 hours a day. Nobody's paying me to work out at the gym.
Right.
So I have to, you know, decide whether I'm going to like work, and then not have time to go to the gym because it's too late or whatever, or like go to the gym and then not have the money to pay the gym membership because I don't have a job. Like I don't have that luxury of someone paying me back and forth to get myself in shape, you know. And I mean, and they do. So, and I'm not putting them down, but I'm like, it's one thing when you're working out to get a role. And I would think they'd be tax deductible too, because you're like, yo, this is an expense that I'm paying to, you know, maybe like so if I was writing a novel, right, and I'm using an old fashioned keyboard or you know whatever it is, or I'm using my laptop, but you know I want a bigger full keyboard, so I go in and buy one. Well, that's a business expense, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So if I'm trying to get a role, I'm going to go to the gym. That's a business expense, you know.
Right.
So. I don't know how IRS feels about that, but to me it is. But so, again, you've got those kind of things that other people don't. And
well, plus it's not like it's a huge sacrifice. It's like you're going to look better than everybody, feel better than everybody. You know, the difference of when I'm regularly working out versus when I'm missing some time at the gym like I have been this month. It's like, it's a night and day difference of like, you know, you're not really sacrificing things. Now those guys like, when Edward Norton got himself all pale and pasty and lost a bunch of weight and just looked haggard and looked like shit for Fight Club, like, yeah, that's a little bit different.
Or like, Oh shit! Was now. God. Hold on. God bless America. Every time his name pops into my mind, I go to speak it. It's like bye.
This is such a long blank line on the waveform.
Christian Bale.
There we go. Yeah.
So like the Machinist, when he's like, when he's just freaking anorexic,
right?
And
right.
then you go from that to like him working out in Batman to where he worked out too much,
right?
And,
yeah.
And then you go from that to American Hustle, where it's like, and now I'm going to put on like 50 pounds,
Right.
It's so yeah, and that's not good for you, but that's also a decision that they make, too.
Right. It's like, yeah, I get that that's taxing, but it's like, oh, I guess you can dry your tears on your stacks of millions of dollars here.
Right. And I'm a big Leonardo DiCaprio fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I said on the podcast before. I've been a Leo fan since Basketball Diaries.
Okay.
And then so that's a long time. And the other part about what you're saying is that Leo looks good when he works out and he's in a movie and stuff. But everybody's seen those pictures of Leo at the beach in between movies when he's looking a little dumpy side,
right?
And then the women that he's dating and engaged to and stuff like that, they see both sides of him, so they know they're not always getting like the Chris Hemsworth Leo. Sometimes they get the other one. They get sometimes they get Thor, sometimes they get Fat Thor.
Right.
It just depends on what movie it is. But he has that ability to. I don't have the ability to go from like the Fat Turk to Fatter Turk, but there's no woman, like I don't have a woman right now because I'm Fat Turk, so if I go Fatter Turk, it's not going to show up, So I'm saying like I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean just people in the working field like we'll never have the luxury of spending 8 hours a day in the gym. Because it's like, okay, well you can do that knowing that you're going to get that role and walk away from it with like $3 million. And we can't do that.
Yeah.
Like the most we could do is like maybe try to get in shape in the hopes of landing a role or something, but like it's like what are you gonna do? You're gonna walk into the auditions and be like, "Hi, I haven't worked in 9 months. I'm broke. I've been living off of cardboard and dead rats."
Yeah. And I'm auditioning for the role of homeless guy number 5. It's like, that's the role you wanted. I'm sorry, we've already cast somebody in that role. It's like, so Meryl Streep's actually playing it. I know it was written for a guy, but her audition was so damn good.
We both had very good auditions, but she just had the better body.
It's like, I swear, I actually believe she'd been living on the streets, but I really have been living on the streets. Yeah, but you're not making me feel it. I mean, sure, you stink, right? But I mean, all this goes back to, we were talking about, asshole people and asshole things, whatever. And the whole thing was like, when it comes to what you do, I know there's pressure to it because it's a job. At the end of the day, it is still a job. And it's a job you want to do well. And I assume you want to do it well. But, it's not like these other jobs that everybody else has,
Right.
Whether they be like physically taxing because you're doing, physical labor, mentally taxing. But I mean, if all of them come with, their own set of stresses too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's unfathomable to me that I can be like, God, I'm so exhausted. I can't move my arms because I've been thinking all day. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, in what world does that make sense?
Oh, it makes sense when you've been there and lived it, yeah.
I mean, when Stephen Hawking said it, it made sense and it was kind of funny, right? And I was like, okay, that's cute. But when someone else says it, it's like, I just flew in and boy, my arm's tired. Yeah, fuck you. It's like, but they like that doesn't really make sense. But like, man, I've been thinking all day and everything, and I'm just so tired I can't even lift my arms. Like, what? Huh? But it's true.
Yeah.
And like you said, we don't get that. So these people that that do these kind of things or act in these ways, or even treat other people like that, because I mean, again, you just have to like put what you do into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I know you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars. Not everybody is an actor who gets that much, but
Right.
the ones that are. I'm just saying, like the you're not going to hear about the maker Jim Wynorski, during the making of like Piranhaconda, berating one of the actors during like the 3 weeks they had to actually film the movie because they weren't because they weren't looking terrified enough at the rubber tubing that they were later going to CGI into a giant snake. I mean, sure, you might be able to be like, I didn't really like the way he said, "You shut up, you take off your top," right? That hurt my feelings. but you're not gonna get that on those kind of
your
sets.
lights, stop fucking up my scene.
It's on the bigger things where people that should know better and should look and be like, hey, I'm getting paid a lot of money for really at the end of the day doing nothing.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to put these people down because obviously I like movies and I enjoy them and stuff, and I want to watch more movies. But but I'm just saying, I'm just putting it into perspective, like professional gamers. No, you can't take what you do and equate it to what I do.
Yeah.
And yes, I realized that you had to play that level like 7 times, right? Okay, great, but that's not the same as what I do.
It's especially the drama bitches like Wings of Redemption or guys like that or Boogie, where it's like they're already problematic people, but then they do these streams and they just flip out because they can't play for shit, and they're like, I hate doing this so much. It's like, motherfucker, you're making like $100,000 a year playing video games. Grow up.
Right. Then stop.
Yeah, it's like if you hate it so much, get a gig down at McDonald's or something.
Yeah, I mean, go.
Go on. Go on, we'll wait.
So, hey, and yeah, like you said, drama bitches. Like, come on, I don't have time for your bullshit. I mean, I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe because people like that is like, no matter if you're good or bad, then your fans are gonna watch you still, and they're not going to call me like, you really suck at these games. I'm like, well, come on. I mean, that's not what that is all about.
Yeah, and plenty of people still make a living playing video games even when they suck.
Yeah.
Game grumps.
And even like going back to actors, the ones that like, I'm doing this movie for money. I'm not really invested in the role at all, so I'm just going to phone it in.
Right.
I can't go to work and be like, you know what? I'm just not feeling what I'm doing today. I'm just gonna phone it in. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and the thing is, like, I might be able to phone it in for a day, but then tomorrow I got to pick up all the slack from the shit that I didn't do yesterday.
Yep.
I sure as hell can't phone it in for an entire project and still get paid full amount. And they'd be like, yeah, but at least we had him on the project. Be like, what?
Right.
No.
Yeah, when all those guys got fired from my job, the thing that my project leader said to me is like, that day, that all that shit I told you about earlier, that all went down on the same day. They caused everybody to lose their job. So like basically the stars aligned, it must have been a full moon or something. Everybody decided to act like a jackass in the exact same 2-hour window. So when I got back to our office, project leader is just sitting at his desk with his head in his hands, just not blinking. I was like, you good, buddy? He was like, I do not have the mental bandwidth for a bunch of grown-ass men to have temper tantrums like little children.
So was he sitting there looking like Elijah Wood from the Paul Abdul video?
Yeah. So yeah, like it's pretty much that with any of this kind of thing, and it even goes back to Josh Whedon, where it's like, some of us are in the real world actually trying to survive. We don't have the free space in our brains to deal with you just being a dumb bitch.
Yeah.
So like maybe stop.
Right, because you think you're somebody special.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's probably what what really gets me more than anything else is that it's not even that they're it's not just what they're doing, which is bad enough, but the fact that they think that they're so special that they have a right to do this, so that it's allowed. Like, but I'm allowed to act this way or do this because look at what I do for a living. It's like, yeah, but no, not. I mean, that's there was it in the Simpsons. I think it's season 1 when Bart goes to war against Nelson Muntz. And he gets all the kids together, and there's the one kid, and he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And he's like, "It's my nerves, sir. I just can't take it." And Bart slaps him, and then Grandpa comes over and he's like, "Whoa, you can't do that." He's like, "What?" He goes, "You can yell at him, and you can send him off to certain death, but for some reason, you just can't slap him." It's like, oh, and it kind of makes me think of that, but like no. You was like no, you can't. I know you think you can, but no, you can't. You can't do that, and you shouldn't be. I mean, I don't want to say if they can't do it in my job, then you can't do it, there. I mean, hell, even in like MMA stuff, where like the object is to like punch and beat the shit out of the other person, right? You still can't act like that there, right? It's like, I mean, like, look, if you guys want to really duke it out, right? There's a time and a place for that.
Did you hear about that whole thing with the MMA guy and almost getting canceled?
No.
I can't remember who it was. He was, I want to say he was Japanese. But yeah, he won the match, and the ring chick who goes around holding up the round sign, like, came running in with her arms out, so he ran up and hugged her. And then she made a big deal out of saying she didn't want that to happen. And so he just kind of misinterpreted her body language. So, of course, Twitter's up in arms and trying to cancel him. And it all blew over. They managed to, like, kind of get that whole situation calmed down. But then he wins his next match, and the ring chick comes running in with her arms out, and he literally just ran away from her. It's like, fuck no, I'm not doing this again. It's the kind of thing with, like, Keanu Reeves doing the hover hands, where it's like he's not going to lay his hands on any of his fans because he knows. He knows.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, hammer blow to the face. And it's that, and I'm going to say this about the whole cancel culture thing, and I said my little thing earlier about you can't cancel me because nobody knows who the hell I am.
Right.
But I'm also going to say this, which is a bunch of people on Twitter that are talking to me, I don't know who you are, and I don't care who you are. What makes you think that your opinion matters to me? Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, the thing is, if it had not been for this little exchange, you would have lived and died, and I never would have known you existed at all.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you right now, just because we've had this little exchange, tomorrow I'm going to forget who you are, and we're going to go back just the way it was the day before, where you're going to live and die, and I'm not even going to remember you existed.
Right.
So don't think that, you can come in here, flash a badge and make me nervous.
Who the fuck are you? You're nothing.
So, yeah, I'm like, what makes you think that your opinion matters to me? Mm-hmm. It's like, we talked about being a big movie fan, and I'm looking at like movie reviews, and it's like this person says this, like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what kind of movies you like. So your opinion doesn't mean shit to me. I mean, I don't know you, and you haven't given me anything to go on to say like whether or not we have the same taste or interest.
Yep.
So I don't care what you have to say.
Yeah.
It's like, if I'm going to look at the like Good Housekeeping's movie reviews to see what they thought of the latest Quentin Tarantino movie, like, I don't really think that's the target audience for this, so I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a good review.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we've been going for like an hour and 15 minutes now. So
yeah, that's way too much time to give the poor Joshy boy. And when I say poor, I don't mean that I feel sorry for him. But I will say, just like the other two people who didn't really defend him, but they said, we have not heard his side of the story yet. Mm-hmm. We've only heard one side of the story. Not to say those people are lying, but we've only heard from them. We haven't heard this person's side of the story. And since I wasn't there, I'm not going to come down on them and be like, and be like, yeah, they're a horrible person. I will say that if it's true, that kind of stuff is uncalled for.
Right.
Right. And it shouldn't exist, and you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff, or acting in that manner. And that's all those people really had to say. Like, I never experienced that. It never happened to me. I really hadn't heard anything about it. So I don't really have anything to say about it except for, what I just said. But and the whole thing for me when it comes to like not cancel culture, but because I don't really, we've had a conversation. I don't really believe in that whole canceling thing. That doesn't do anything. It doesn't teach anybody. It doesn't.
Right.
Only thing it does is just cause them to double down. You haven't told them or shown them, like how to change their behavior or really why they should. You're just being an asshole, which is like, well, now I feel justified because So anyway, but the whole thing I was going to say is that, like I said, with the whole like cancel culture type thing or whatever, if a person's acting in a particular fashion or manner or whatever they're doing, you need to I don't know. I was gonna say something.
Are we getting tired? I think we're both getting a little tired.
No, I was getting because we've already talked about it. And I'm not trying to bring up the same shit that we've talked about before or whatever. And it's not what our podcast is about. When our podcast is about it, we're picking him out because he's the guy that did Avengers. He's the guy that did Age of Ultron. He did these movies that we like. And I don't. Your bad behavior is not something that I want to support or support you in doing, and that's really what it comes down to is I don't, if you're acting like this, I don't want to support you in that and somehow condone that it's okay for you to do that by continuing to pay to see your movies or your art or whatever it is when you're doing things that are, that go against, how I think people should be treated or that you should act.
Right.
Just like, eating people is probably not a good thing.
Probably not. But, it's really not that wasteful.
That's true. I mean, in the Soylent Green era of the world, when we get to that point there, I mean, that's what you'll be doing, right? Well, I say Soylent Green, but it's actually Soylent Green and Soylent White because, they didn't change the recipe like they said they would.
They lied when they said they changed the recipe.
But no, it's like, that's the thing is like, I'm not trying to cancel you and boot you off the face of the earth or whatever. It's just that don't expect me to continue to say I'm a fan of your work or to pay to see anything you've done because I'm like, no, I'm not going to continue to make you rich while you act like a complete piece of shit.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, catch me outside. How about that?
Yeah.
I got him. Showed him a thing or two.
Right. Yeah. He'll think twice before leaving his mansion.
Anyway, yeah, I've been Acomi.
And my name is Turk182. And, one day I'm going to be big and I'm going to be famous. And I'm going to treat people this way I do right now. And while that may seem wrong, be like, you would treat people like a piece of shit? Yes. But the thing is, I haven't changed who I am.
There you go.
So I've been consistent the whole time.
Don't let money change you.
No. That's like that Robin Harris in his comedy album. He was like, people ask me, because he like did some movies and stuff, he's like, people ask me, you gonna change? You know that you got money, you gonna change? It's like, you goddamn right I'm gonna change. Like, what?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to us and letting us rant a little bit about someone that broke our heart because we couldn't dance. But you know what? If I had known, I would have changed that fucking lock and made him leave his key.
Man, you're on a roll, aren't you?
I am, right?
Yeah, be sure to check out some of our other episodes. We're usually a bit funnier. We had a strong opening on this one, though. But yeah,
it's not really a topic we can make fun of. That's the thing that we can't.
We could have. We would have just been even worse people than we currently are.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing. So when we're talking about Josh, right? Do we really want to make ourselves seem worse than him? Like, no. We want to stay on this side of the line. Be like, okay, remember, he's the bad guy.
Idiot! If you're cheating on your wife, the goal is not to tell her. Stupid. Kill yourself, stupid.
No. Just instead of like sleeping, like cheating on her in like her bed, you put 2 beds in the room. That doesn't make it better.
Anyway, yeah. Bye, everybody.
No, you can't hang a sock on the door and say, when the sock is on the door, honey, don't come in, I'm cheating on you. It's like, God, I thought you were smarter than this.
You get little punch cards. Like, every 10 acts of good husbandry, he gets 1 free cheat.
He's got like a little vacancy sign above the door. Hey, getting cozy at the cone, is we?
We gotta end this episode.
I didn't say anything.
It's going too long.
Okay, I'm done. That's it.
Bye, everybody.
All right there, folks. That was Our Moms Think We're Funny. Let's give them a hand.